Hi, this is Risako. It's my second film now. Already I couldn't achieve one video per week, but okay, here we go. So today I'm going to introduce Moeyo-Ken, BARAGAKI Unbroken Samurai, which I watched last weekend, so now it's on cinema. BARAGAKI, which is in the subtitles, meaning is like a thorn kid. Bara is Ibara, thorn, and Gaki is like a gangster kind of kid. So someone who's strong and dangerous, and people are scared of him. So that's the subtitle meaning. But Moeyo-Ken, which is the main title, means burning sword, right? So this film is about samurai, and it's based on a book by Shiba Ryotaro, who is a really famous author in Japan, who lived in the 20th century. He's born in 1923, and the name of the book is the same, Moeyo-Ken, and was made into a film this year. So who's in this film? The protagonist is Hijikata Toshizo, and the actor's name is Okada Junichi. He belongs to this Japanese idol group called V6, which does dancing, singing, acting, TV shows, and they belong to the entertainment agency called Johnny's, which is the same as like Arashi, for example, is famous. And actually, this V6, yesterday, after 26 years, they put an end to their activities. So this was really a timing for Okada Junichi to begin his new career, I think. And the other actors, there is Yamada Ryosuke, who also belongs to this Johnny's, and then Suzuki Ryohei, who acted for the protagonist of this big show in Japan, the national TV channel, and he was the main character for last year. And finally, for the main personnel, there's Shibasaki Ko, who she's a singer but also an actress. She acts as Yuki, who becomes the protagonist's wife. So next, the story, which I'm really not confident if I can explain well, but let me try. This film is about Shinsengumi, which is repetitively made into a book or a film, but I think this one is really one of the major ones. So Shinsengumi was a special police formed at the end of 19th century, which is the Edo period in Japan. Then, after 400 years of Japan closing its country against foreigners, for the first time it started to opening up after Commander Perry came from the US. If you can imagine, 400 years, almost closing every doors out to the foreign countries. It was great chaos. And the Shinsengumi then was founded in order to protect Kyoto, which was the capital then, and the emperor, against the Bakufu, which was the main government, who tried to open up the country. So the Shinsengumi fought against the Bakufu and the foreigners who tried to open up Japan. Actually, the protagonist Hijikata and other members, the original members of Shinsengumi, they weren't originally samurais, but born into a lower caste, I would say. But because of their skills of swords, fighting with swords, they wanted to become a samurai, and in order to do that, they were looking for a way. The emperor, they were looking for some bodyguard or a special police, which they could make use into protect the capital and the emperor. So they were in a kind of a win-and-win relationship, so that's how the Shinsengumi was formed. Compared to how Shinsengumi is a big impact on history and even a theme for many books and films, when you look back, they only were active for 6 years, which is from 1863 to 1869. So you can imagine how great impact they had within these 6 years. From the original members, I'm not really sure of the numbers, but at the end they were made into 200, and well, anyone who wanted to become one could join, but on the other hand, they had really strict rules, and if anyone did something against those rules, they were asked to do the seppuku, which is known as harakiri. They had to finish their life at that point. So let me introduce some of my favorite scenes, maybe into 5 points. So what's amazing about this film is Okada Junichi. his action is just splendid. Many of those action films have stamps. Actually, for this film, he worked as a director for these sword actions as well. So that's my first one. Secondly, I loved the relationship between Hijikata Toshizo and Okita Soji, which are one of the two of the original members, and they knew each other since they were small. And the actors for this, Okada Junichi and Yamada Ryosuke, they in real life belong to the same entertainment agency. It's almost as if, well, I don't really know, but the relationship in real life is reflected into Hijikata and Okita, which is in the film. Thirdly, what I loved about this film is, as a film, it's interesting to watch because they put a lot of plus alpha essence, which is irrelevant to the mainstream of the story. For example, Hijikata Toshizo is depicted as a really strict, strong character, but there's a scene when he visits his master kind of person, and he's a teacher, so there are some children over there, 5 or 6 years old, and when he visits, he when talking to his master, he picks up this child and does this to the child and let him go, and you can see that they're in a really kind of a close relationship. They know each other really well, but they don't really talk, but that's just part of the a side story, and the same kind of stuff is done throughout the film, and that's what I really enjoyed because it lets me imagine the background of those personnels even more. So fourthly, Hijikata's wife, Yuki. So at the end of the film, not at the very end, but there's a scene where she voluntarily works at a hospital. Well, it's not really a hospital, but a temple that's changed into a temporal hospital where wounded soldiers from both the Emperor's side and the Bakufu side is carried into. And Yuki works there taking care of the wounded soldiers, but when there's an enemy attack, she bravely stands up and says, "Do not resist, because then you will be killed." And doing that, even when the attack is coming in, she bravely goes against them and manages to get them out of that temple. And I think that scene was really beautiful, how she stood up bravely for everyone. And I could correlate somehow with Mother Teresa or many other characters I know in history. So last and not least, what I really liked about this film is the way the film is carried out. It's in a way that the protagonist, after all this, looks back and reflects and talks about it. So his narration is throughout the film, but it's in a way that Hijikata is talking to this French commander. It's definitely after Japan decided to open up to the foreign countries, mainly the Western countries, and Hijikata himself is wearing some Western clothes as well. So he's looking back to the history, speaking about what he has done in details. But at the very end, this French man really shows respect to him. Hijikata, he was the core character of the Shinsengumi. He fought against the foreigners, so of course French as well. But after the French came into the country, they looked up to these samurais who of course fought against them. I think they showed respect because what they saw in the core of the samurais were really beautiful, strong, and I would say do way of living, you say in Japanese, do. So the foreigners saw this kind of beauty in it. So it's become a quite long review, but I hope you enjoyed. I myself really enjoyed this film, and I want to read this book now, so I think I'm gonna buy it, or maybe I can find it at home, so I'll look for that. And yeah, see you again. Bye.